Hey guys, Tim here. Wanted to put together several videos for you on configuring Meraki switches in the campus. So what we have here is a lab topology that I've built out. In this first video, we're going to show you how to configure Meraki switching at the aggregation level. The second video, I'm going to show you how to configure OSPF routing in a Meraki switch network. And then third, I'm going to show you a video on how to configure MS425 stacks in the closet, and then how to configure port channels between the closet and the campus aggregation stack. So first, in our lab topology here, I've got a pair of 425s, and in order for me to configure these from the cloud, they need to have internet access. So by default, all Meraki switch ports are in VLAN 1 on a trunk. So I've got one port configured here to go out to my MX firewall over VLAN 1 to give me cloud connectivity. And then these switches need to be connected together via the 40 gig links. So I can stack up to 8 switches here if I choose. And then the next thing I need to do is these ports are, by default, these 40 gig ports are in a network mode. We need to change them to a stacking mode, kind of like the back of a 3850 or an MS350. So after we do that, we're going to configure our spanning tree settings and then configure our VLAN interfaces. So let's jump over to the dashboard, and you can see here that I've already added my switches. So what we're going to do is just go in and validate they're on. We can see they're connected on port 17 and 18, which are 40 gig links. And then we're going to go and configure those links as stack ports. So we're going to pull up 17, 18. We're going to go ahead and hit edit. And then you can see these ports are already in a stacking mode. So we're going to hit update the 4 ports. And then the next thing we're going to do is jump over to our switch stacks page. And there's like a dynamic protocol that's running that auto-discovers these ports, or auto-discovers these switches as stack neighbors. So since they're eligible to become stack members, we're going to go ahead and provision these switches as a stack. And we're going to call this CCI TIM core stack. We're going to go ahead and hit create. And then we're going to go and validate and make sure the stack is created. So now these two switches are bound together and they look like one switch to the Meraki dashboard and to the network. So the next thing we're going to do is configure our spanning tree settings. So we're going to go to switch settings, and RSTP is the spanning tree protocol that's supported in Meraki. So we're going to make sure that we set our Meraki stack as the spanning tree root. As we all know that 0 equals the lowest spanning tree number, or means that, hey, we're going to be the root. And then that will prevent anyone else in the network from overriding us. So we're going to go ahead and hit save changes. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our VLAN interfaces. So let's go to switch. We'll go to routing and DHCP. And the first thing we're going to do is add an interface for VLAN 1. So this is going to give us outbound connectivity to the internet where our firewall is at. So we're going to call this outbound. 192.168.1.0 is that subnet. 192.168.1.1, VLAN 1. We're actually going to make this 15 because this is going to be the SVI that's going to be across our two switches. So we'll go ahead and hit save. That's going to be our outbound interface. And you can see there's a default route that was created, and that's going to our firewall now. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is create interfaces for VLAN 55 for our IT users 77 and 999. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and first create the IT users. So we're going to call this IT score VLAN 55, subnet 192.168.55.0/24, 2.168.55.1, VLAN 55. And we will respond to DHCP requests, and we'll send those all to my firewall, which has a DHCP server already running. We'll go ahead and hit save. As you can see here, I went ahead and created the interfaces for HR and for our guest network. Something else to note here is we don't have to actually go in and create VLAN entries in a VLAN database or set up any VTP configuration in this network. As well as if we have Cisco switches connected to us, this would be these switches would act kind of like a VTP transparent mode. They wouldn't stomp any VTP advertisements, and they would also not participate in the VTP domain locally. Okay, so now that we have our VLAN interfaces configured, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and we're going to fire up the second video. I'm going to show you how do we connect the MS350s to the MS425s in a port channel configuration and leveraging these ports as trunk links.